Hello, Faith Walkers. How are you doing? Well, I'm doing amazing. I don't know about you, but today is a wonderful, wonderful day. And I want to talk to y'all about something that's been on my heart for a very long time. When I first started this channel, I was just going through a divorce, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about divorce and life after divorce. Yes, we are faith walkers, but life happens to us, and I have some things that I want to share on divorce. So stay tuned. I want to tell you a little bit about my background. I come from a background where my family, or my mom and dad, were married over 60 years before my mother passed in 2018. And I loved their relationship. I didn't grow up in a house where I saw a lot of fighting and bickering and all of that. And so I believed in the institution of marriage, and I also believe still in true love. And I want that still for myself. And so with that being said, I watched a good relationship. I had good examples of good relationships in front of me. I have a brother that's been married for 44 years, he and his wife. And I have watched their relationship and their friendship and their partnership. And so I have grown up with good relationships around me since I was a very small child. And so, of course, I believe in the institution of marriage. I believe in that. I believe that marriage is a good thing and all of that. But I got married, and I did not last in marriage. I enjoyed being married. I'm going to say that first of all. And people are sometimes they're surprised to hear me say that, but I really did enjoy being married. But I married somebody that wasn't a match for me, and was not honest. It was not honest about who he was and all of that. And so I decided to leave the marriage. I filed for divorce. And that took a lot for me. We were married almost 8 years. And so it took a lot for me, coming from my background where, we didn't divorce and all of that. It took a lot for me to just say, hey, this doesn't work for me anymore. And so I want to talk about the life after divorce. I once had a friend tell me, when I was thinking about divorcing, she was like, Dorcas, whatever you do, try to hold on to your family. Divorce is like, it feels like somebody's ripping your heart out. And I didn't understand what she was saying until I was divorced. And I felt like somebody was ripping my heart out. I was very, very sensitive and very vulnerable after divorce. And by the way, I've been divorced almost 4 years, and I have not remarried. But I would like to get married again, but I'm not in a rush, okay? I'm just letting y'all know, not in a rush. But I have felt like I needed to do some healing. And I needed to really look at my life and look at my choices of the men that I allowed into my life, and see how not to do that again. Okay, because there was a pattern. Although I was looking at, okay, I made this mistake. I needed to really look at the pattern and, see, okay, what type of men am I attracting, and what am I attracted to, and all of that. Really look at that and really look deep down within me to see what is it that I'm attracting and why. Okay, now I want to say this. When I first got divorced, I was totally embarrassed because I never ever saw myself getting divorced. I thought that I would be married forever. And I was like so embarrassed, like, oh my God, I'm getting a divorce. Now in the church, in my upbringing, definitely divorce is not and was not looked upon very with a lot of, I don't know, positivity. Okay, it wasn't looked upon with positivity and all of that. It's like, you stay in that marriage, make it work, all of that. And I grew up seeing some really horrible things. I've seen some women go through some really horrible things, all in the name of staying married to somebody who was abusive. And that abuse could have been verbal, it could have been physical, it could have been financial. Okay, because there is some financial abuse. There's a lot of types of abuses, and I don't think I realized that until I was in the situation that I was in. And I'm not going to talk about the situation right now. Today, I just want to talk about the life after divorce, because I felt like after I got out of that, I almost felt like I had been dropped off on a corner, and I didn't know where I was going. I just felt like somebody just dropped me off, and I was like, now I'm single again, and I don't know what to do. What is my new normal? What is my new, I wasn't one of those people. I don't know who you are watching me, but I wasn't one of those people who cheated on my husband. I wasn't that person. I was faithful. I wanted to be a godly wife. I tried to be a godly wife and all of that. And it ended in divorce. The marriage ended in divorce. And I wasn't ready for the life after. So I actually wrote down some notes so that I could talk about the things and the changes that I went through. I want to say this too. When I was, while I was getting a divorce, there were so many other things that were happening at the same time. So my mother was deathly ill. She was sick and she was getting worse and worse. Like, I decided to divorce in December, and in January or February, my mother went blind, and then her health just declined like rapidly. And she had dementia, but when she went blind, her health went down. And so I was going through divorce, and then my lease was coming up in my apartment, and so I had to move. So it was like, Mom was declining, I was getting divorced, I had to move. And then I was going through a lot of turmoil at my job at the time. And so I could not get a break. When I tell you I could not get a break, I could not breathe, all of that, it was horrific to go through. And sometimes I look back, and I'm not even done telling you what I was going through, but I sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh my God, how did I make it through? How did I make it through? So what ended up happening is I'm packing. My ex-husband did not come back home to pack his stuff. So I ended up, my sister-in-law was at the house, and she ended up helping me pack. And she packed a lot of his stuff. Thank you, sis-in-law. Thank you. And I will never forget that. She packed that. I packed my stuff, and I had to move. And then in the middle of me moving and me having boxes stacked up in my apartment, my sister was like, hey, come home. Mom is not doing well, and you need to come home, and we're going to all be there with Mom. So that was in April. And so in April, I went home. And in the midst of moving and all the hell going on at work, and I went to say goodbye to my mother. And so we celebrated birthdays, we celebrated anniversaries, all that in April, even though everything is, further down in the year. And so we did all that. All 7 of us were there. And we just, gathered around our mom, even though she didn't really know that we were there, not really, and all of that. But we gathered around our mom and celebrated, and we sang and all of that around our mom. And so I did that, and then I came back. I came back to Texas on April 30th. Now, April 30th was the day before my birthday. Okay, so I got back to Dallas pretty early, and so I called the courts because there was like a time limit on when I could get my divorce and all of that because of how I had to do it and all of that. So I called them, and they were like, you're good with the time, so you can come in on whenever, and go to court. So I ended up going to court on my birthday, which was cool, but I ended up going to court on my birthday, and the judge granted me the divorce. I went by myself, and then I went and picked up the keys to my new apartment, and I got all of my name changes, everything, because it was like on that particular day, my license expired. And so I had to get a new license anyway. So I changed my name back to Jones, and got my new social security card and all of that. I did all of that in one day. And then after I got done, I went and sat at a restaurant and ate by myself. I will never forget that day. And it was like a happy day, like I could breathe and all of that. But like I said, I wasn't ready for the after. And so afterwards, so that was in May. In July, my mother passed away. And so my mother passed away in July, on July 15th. And then on October the 15th, I went into my job, and they said, oh, you no longer work here. So it was like 3 months to the exact date. Now, granted, I need to say this because I always talk about this on my channel. When I got back from my mother's funeral, when I got back to work, right before I went back to work, I had a dream that my job fired me. I did. I had a dream that they fired me. I had a dream that, they took me into this room and fired me. Okay. And so I was like, I had a dream last night that, I got fired. Well, it happened almost exactly how it was in the dream. And so which I was not sad about that, because it was like, during that time, it was like everything was ending, and it was like every single thing was ending. It was like I was having to say goodbye to people, places, and things. So, the place that I was living, I had been living there for 5 years. And so I had to say goodbye to that space, and goodbye to my ex, and goodbye to my mom. And then it was like, I know that this job is the next to go. And so I had to say goodbye to that place. And I had been there almost 10 years. And so and that was in October, right? So October the 15th, they tell me this. On October the 17th, and I'll never forget this day because it was like one thing after the other. On October the 17th, my sister called and said, hey, your brother has, they found a tumor on his brain and he has cancer. It's cancerous. So 2 days later, I'm trying to interview for jobs and they're operating on my brother. Now, listen, I don't know how I made it through all of what I'm saying. But it was one thing after the other. And I was trying to get a job, right? So it's October and people hire during the Christmas season, but it wasn't the kind of job I wanted to work. And I needed a break. And so I was looking for jobs, and then I was getting disappointed because evidently the Lord didn't want me working at that time. I needed the break. Looking back now, I needed that break because of what I had just been through. And so I was like going through, and then what ended up happening was that the Christmas season came. Okay, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all of that, and I was having a hard time. I was having a hard time. I'm not even gonna lie. It was like my mom and dad's anniversary is in December, and I was just, all of it. It was just all a lot. And then my brother was in the hospital fighting for his life. And I was like, oh my God. I remember on Christmas, I was like, I'm on strike. I just can't, because it was just so much. It was one thing after the other. And I was like, I can't do this. And so what ended up happening is a friend of mine called and was like, hey, come on over. She's from my home. And there's some other people that live here from my home, which is Seattle, Tacoma area. And she was like, hey, come on over, this and that. And so I went over there, and I was just so blessed. I was so blessed. Even thinking about it right now, it makes me feel warm inside. I was just so blessed because I was going through so much turmoil in my life at that time. And so I think it was Christmas or Thanksgiving, but I feel like it was Christmas. But anyway, I went home, and God really blessed me and provided for me during this time. But I went home after Christmas. It's New Year's. I went to church. I did all the things that I usually do. I didn't have time. I'm gonna say this: when I first got divorced, I didn't have time to be lonely because I had so much going on. I didn't have time for that. It ends up happening that in January, my brother passed away. Just even saying all that is just so much. And that was devastating. But he passed away. And the day after he passed away, I had a job interview. And I went in after the job at the job interview, and I just prayed in the spirit the whole time, because I had to do a little highlight and all this stuff. I do hair, by the way, but I had to do a highlight. I interviewed with the people. I didn't tell them what was going on, but I interviewed with the people, went in, and God was with me. He was with me. And so after I got done, the lady who is now my manager was like, okay, we're done. You can go ahead, and I see your model or whatever, because I was doing a mannequin. And she went on and was getting ready, escort me out the door. And I was like, hey, I just need to tell you that yesterday, this is what happened. And she was like, in awe. I'm in awe thinking about it, but she was in awe, like, I don't even know how you're standing here. The Lord, I didn't tell her that, but that is the truth. The Lord helped me, my God. The Lord helped me through that situation. And so I was like, I don't know what's going to happen after this, but this is what's going on with my life right now. And so anyway, the thing that I want to say is that after being divorced, there were some cycles that started happening over these last 4 years, 3-4 years. There have been cycles. It's almost like in September, my body goes into a mode of sadness and depression. My body has gone into that. I don't even have to try. There's just like, there has been a spirit of oppression over September, October, November, December for the last few years. That also is, September is my mom's birthday. September was when I was married. All of that just starts off a whole thing. And so actually last year, 2021, was the first year that I could say that I actually felt more like myself than I had in a while. But it has been a journey. It has been a journey. I would say the life after divorce, something that I didn't expect to go through was mourning. Now, I did go through a period of mourning, and not just because I had lost my mom and my brother within a 6-month period, but I had mourned the loss of time. I mourned the loss of time because it was like, that's time that I can never get back. I mourned even making the mistake at all, because once again, y'all know by now that God deals with me in dreams. I had a dream, and it was a very simple dream, before I even married him. And I asked him about the dream, and he was like, oh, no, I don't know what you're talking about. But when I tell you that dream was dead on, it was dead on. And so and it took years for all of it to be revealed, but that dream was dead on. And the Lord, the Lord has always spoken to me like that. And so but at that time, I definitely second guessed it, because I was like, oh, well, he said that it doesn't mean anything, so I'm going to go along with what he said. I remember a friend of mine, she's a childhood friend of mine, put something on Facebook, and she said, if you are being treated this way, and I want to say this, she comes from the background that I come from. And so they taught us to stay. But she said something, she put something out there, which was an encouragement to me. She was like, if you are being treated like this, if this is happening and that is happening, and you're not being treated right, you do not have to stay. And she was like, God has blessed her with a husband, and he's a good man, and blah, 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 blah. She was saying all of this, and I private messaged her, and I was like, thank you so much. Because I was like, I'm going through a divorce right now, and I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want to tell people that I was going through a divorce, except the people that were around me. But I didn't want to tell people because I was like, I stood, you're in a marriage, you cover each other and all of that. And then after you get out, it's like, now that's over. And, I started telling my family stuff that they didn't know. Like, I had been in that for a long time, and I was telling people, hey, this is what I was going through. And they were like, what? Yes, this is what I was going through. This is what happened. This is what, was really going on. And people were surprised because I'm a person that I'm very, very private. One of the things that I did do is I did go through counseling. And just to, break apart and just pull apart everything that I've been going through. I'm very picky about what kind of counselor I'm gonna go see because of how I believe. I needed someone who was going to be a Christian, who wasn't going to look at me when I said, the Lord spoke to me in a dream last night, and this is what he said. I needed a Christian counselor. And so that is what I got. I got, faith-based Christian counselor that believed basically like me. I have had to find a new normal. And I think that is the biggest thing that I've had to go through in these 4 years, is finding a new normal and redefining who Dorcas is, redefining who that person is, and really taking a good, long look inside of me. And then really seeking God on, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? Who do you want me to be with? Who do you want me to be around? Because that's important. And I think about that a lot more now. I will say that now on this side of divorce, I am definitely a lot more sober. I'm not a person now that would jump into a relationship and be like, oh my God, I'm so in love, I'm getting married tomorrow. That I'm not gonna do that, because I have been through so much that I am thinking about everything that a man will say or do. I am looking, I'm watching, I'm listening, all of it. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the actions. I'm looking at all of it. And so that is the biggest thing that I am having. I'm still becoming that woman, but I am having to find a new normal. Just having to find a new normal. That has been my journey. If you are going through some like patterns and cycles and that you're noticing, you need to take a look at yourself and pray. I've done a lot of praying and fasting and counseling. Okay, I did counseling for a little bit, but lots of prayer and fasting, and lots of prayer and fasting to come, even now, because I know that God has a plan for single people. God has a plan for divorced people. So I just want y'all to just be blessed. Hopefully I've said something that that just ministered to you, and let you know that you are not the only one going through that. Divorce and life after divorce and mourning and all of that is real, because you are mourning the death of a relationship, the death of a dream that was not realized. Y'all had a dream together that you were going to accomplish this and do all of this and be this and create this together, and that was not what happened. And so I know that I mourned all of that. I mourned the children that I didn't have. I mourned that. So just be blessed. And I want to let you know that your life is not over. just because you've been divorced. It's not over. It's not over. God has much more for us. He has much more for us. Be blessed in Jesus' name. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more videos.